All right, an update on the collision on Old Esquimalt Road. It happened on Sunday morning. So as you recall, there was a serious collision that occurred early Sunday morning that left a 24-year-old Esquimalt man with serious head injuries. Since that time, our traffic section and crash team analysts have been conducting an investigation. Now, the man's condition has improved slightly, and he's listed in stable condition right now. The officers are going to continue to investigate and are focus the investigation on contributing factors like speed and alcohol. So we'll have updates if there's charges or if there's any change in condition as well. I'll release that.
So this person, was it like a single vehicle?
Single vehicle, yes.
Well, and he hit a number of other
He hit a lot of parked cars, yeah. 2 other parked cars, but there was no other occupied vehicles that were hit during that.
Do we have general idea on the cost of damages to those vehicles?
I don't. I know the Geo's written off for sure. But,
Is that what he was doing?
yes, it's a 92 Geo Storm.
$100. And is his passenger cooperating with you guys?
Yes, his passenger is cooperating with us.
So I take it that, was there like blood drawn at the hospital? You can check for alcohol in?
Yeah, that will be what our investigators are focusing on right now.
He wouldn't have been conscious enough.
Yeah, I wouldn't have been able to do the breath test stuff. No. All right, address the elephant in the room right off the bat now, the Wharfside eatery complaints. So on Saturday, VicPD did receive a complaint of fraud concerning the Wharfside Grill. The complaint was forwarded to our financial crimes section, who will handle the investigation. So as you can appreciate, that cases involving fraud are complicated, and our investigators are going to have to look at it all. So our detectives have just begun to review the file, and are not yet able to ascertain if what was presented will constitute a fraud under the criminal code. So we're going to have to look at that, and we'll update as it goes on.
And there's just the one complaint lodged?
There's the one complaint that I saw that came in, but I don't know if there's more, but our investigators will be looking at that as well.
Might they also be looking at whether it would be a theft charge?
Well, it's all going to be underneath the investigation. So just because somebody lodges a fraud complaint doesn't mean that would be the charge laid. Yeah, it could go wherever the investigators can take it, right? But we're certainly going to look at it, certainly going to check it out and see if there is something that falls in the criminal purview.
So does that mean that you are actively canvassing other potential complainants, or is it up to them to come forward?
Well, it's up to them to come forward to see us. And if there's people that have an issue and they want the police to take care of it, they need to come see us about that.
So you're, at this point, only investigating the circumstances as they relate to the one individual who came to see you?
Well, that's the information that we've been given, is the information that he provided. All right, next is, we did a release last Wednesday of a problematic panhandler. There's a little bit of an update. So the problematic panhandler was rearrested. VicPD was kept busy this weekend responding to calls about the chronic panhandler, Craig Wilson. Wilson was arrested 2 more times last week for numerous charges. The first arrest happened on Thursday when our officers responded to calls of Wilson in the Atrium building, which is in the 800 block of Yates Street, an area he's prohibited by court from going to. Numerous complaints came forward when our officers went to the Atrium, stating that Wilson was aggressively demanding money from them. He was arrested a short time later in the 1000 block of Douglas Street. When officers arrested them, they found evidence that he was breaching court-ordered conditions of his release, as well as the conditions not to be in the 800 block of Yates. So he was held in jail and appeared in court the following morning on charges of mischief and 2 counts of breaching his court order. So he was released with conditions after that, and our officers again encountered Wilson on Saturday after locating him in the 900 block of Pandora Avenue, an area he is also ordered by the court not to be in. Wilson was arrested and found to be in possession of 2 necklaces that were identified as being recently stolen. Wilson was the subject of a tail bail hearing and held for court today. He's facing charges of possession of stolen property, possession of a controlled substance, and breaching his conditions of his undertaking. Now, Wilson's now been arrested 5 times in 11 days by VicPD on a wide range of charges. He was arrested on January 31st, where he was charged with trafficking in a controlled substance, and Wilson was held for court released in order to appear on Monday, February 20th. He was also arrested on Thursday, February 2nd, and released on a promise to appear for a charge that has not yet been approved, and again last Monday for mischief and breaching court-ordered conditions. So VicPD is also working through our community resource officer to look into any services that might be appropriate for Mr. Wilson.
What was the controlled substance he had on him on Saturday?
I believe it was cocaine.
And the breaching of his probate or conditions, was that controlled substance or alcohol?
There is area restrictions.
Yeah.
There is possessing drug paraphernalia. Those are the two main ones.
So he's out of jail right now? Or?
I don't know what happened as of this morning. So he appeared for morning court,
Okay.
and we'll have to see where it goes from there.
Okay.
So I know that you said you're trying to kind of bring in some services. What is the hope here with this guy?
Well, you know, we would just like to have him be able to be a part of the community if that's his choice. If that's what he wants, we want to be able to provide the supports for him, but realizing that his behavior is totally unacceptable in our community. So.
When you released information about him last Wednesday, it was mentioned that he has outstanding warrants from across the country.
Yes, he
Is he
does.
somebody that we can Con Air and send somewhere else, or do we not have the funds for Con Air to get rid of him?
We have the funds in the Con Air program to fly him back if he met the criteria, but the conditions or the charges in the other jurisdictions are not yet serious enough. And also part of that is the other jurisdiction has to want him back.
When he approaches people, does he get just belligerent, or does he grab them, or does he?
He doesn't grab him, there's no physical contact, but he's very aggressive in the way he does it. One of the complainants came up when we were in the atrium building and said that he was paying for his lunch at the shop there, and the guy came right up beside him as he's physically paying for his dinner.
Huh?
So that does not happen. We can't have that.
So he's entering premises.
Oh yes, yeah.
And he pesters everybody, men, women, children,
Sorry?
he pesters
Yeah,
indiscriminately.
yeah, just anybody. Yeah, I haven't heard reports of children, but I know everybody else is pretty much fair game. All right. So next one was a burglar that was caught in the act. It was Friday afternoon. VicPD arrested a burglar following 2 break-and-enters in the North Park neighborhood. A 34-year-old Victoria man was arrested in the process of breaking into a home in the 1000 block of North Park Street. A woman inside the home contacted police at 2:30 after seeing a suspicious man at the door and the windows. She locked herself in the bathroom while waiting for police to arrive. Officers were quickly on scene and caught the man as he was attempting to pry open the back door using a screwdriver. He's facing charges of attempted break-and-enter, possession of break-in tools, mischief, and resisting arrest. Police also believe he's the same suspect responsible for an attempted break-and-enter 90 minutes earlier in the 1000 block of Mason Street. That was around 1 p.m., where a woman inside a house made a 911 call reporting a burglar. The burglar fled the home, and police are continuing to investigate the link between the two crimes.
Is this person known?
Yes, he is well known to us.
Well known to you for being me?
I believe it's property related. Yeah.
Does he have any violent charges in his background as far as you're aware?
Not that I can recall. Yeah.
Does he have an address? His address?
Do you recall?
Yeah.
I don't remember what it was though. Yeah.
How disturbing is it, considering it was in broad daylight and people were home at the time?
Well, it is disturbing that it happened, when people are home, but break-and-enters happen more often in the daytime because people are at work and they're gone. So that's the time when this predominantly happens, right? People think it's under the cover of darkness, but more often than not, we get daytime burglaries.
And this person that you're investigating and that is in charge with these things, they're all in the same, quite close neighborhood?
Yeah, it was 1000 block of Mason and 1000 block of North Park Street. So that's 2 blocks away. Yeah.
How old was the woman in the case where you guys arrived and did find him?
Don't know. All right, next one I have is taxi driver and fare arrested following hit and run. A taxi driver and his fare were arrested last night, which stemmed from an Esquimalt hit and run. Sunday night, just before 11 p.m., a man called police saying he was involved in a hit and run involving a taxi. The collision took place at Lamson and Esquimalt roads, and the taxi took off. Officers tracked down the taxi to View Royal, near Old Island Highway and 6 Mile Road. The taxi driver, a 42-year-old View Royal resident, was found to be in breach of his conditional sentence order. He was violating his curfew and was arrested by VicPD. Meanwhile, the taxi's fare was recognized as a prolific property crime offender and the suspect of several B&E investigations. The 44-year-old Victorian man was found with a digital camera that was reported stolen from a Sydney break-and-enter several days ago. He was also found in possession of break-and-enter tools. Both were taken to cells. The fare was released on a promise to appear for March 26th, and the taxi driver was held in custody. He was issued a violation ticket for failure to remain at the scene of a collision, and the taxi was towed.
Was the passenger with the taxi driver at the time of the accident, or was he just picked up later?
Don't know, but I suspect that he was with, because the information is that the person who was hit followed the taxi. So
Is this taxi driver licensed to drive a taxi?
that would be part of the investigation. I don't have it in there, but I know that would be part of the investigation.
And do you know whether the driver and his fare reach?
Don't know.
And this driver, the taxi, the breach of his curfew, so what charge is he in, or was this?
It's breach of a conditional sentence order. That's what he was held for.
Okay, what
Yep.
was his conditional sentence for?
I don't know.
So you're saying that, like, they're looking into these other aspects, like whether he has a license or things
Yep.
like that, so there could be further charges?
Yeah, there could be additional things that come out of the investigation.
Would that be under the motor vehicle act or something like that?
Lisa, I don't know if that's a separate legislation or not that does taxis, or if it is under the Motor Vehicle Act. I'd have to ask. I'm not 100% sure.
So how much damage did the other car?
I think it was a minor collision. Yeah.
He was out working at night and he wasn't allowed to be anywhere at night.
Right.
Okay.
What are some of the details about the collision? Like he was going through the intersection and it didn't stop for the red light, or?
I don't have the details of the collision. That's on the hard copy sheet. That's not in the file, so I haven't seen that.
The fare, where is he from? Victoria?
Does it move in there? Yes, 44-year-old Victoria man. That's the fare.
Was it a marked taxi?
Yes.
Did you say which company it was?
No.
So the victim of the hit and run was in his car at the time.
Right, it was a hit and run, 2 vehicles. Yeah.
Wasn't a parked car and the guy was able to run out fast enough.
No, it's 2 vehicles, yeah.
And the male driver who was hit, he actually followed the taxi to View Royal?
Called us, yeah. Yeah, and by the time we were able to track the taxi and him, it was just, it had gone out Old Island Highway.
And it was a male driver?
Yes.
See, if you got him for using his cell phone while he's driving, you'd have everybody concerned.
But that's legal if you're calling 911 and reporting a crime.
Is that right?
Yeah. You can call 911, yep, 100%. All right, last one I got for today. A tattoo gives away the identity of a robber. On Saturday morning, VicPD arrested a 29-year-old Central Saanich man for the robbery of a 7-Eleven. Police were able to track down the robber because they had his last name tattooed on his forearm. Ryan Aiken robbed the 7-Eleven store on Bay Street early Thursday morning. He threatened the clerk, demanding cigarettes and saying that he had a knife. He jumped the counter, stole a few packages of cigarettes before fleeing the store. The clerk was able to provide a detailed description and that the robber had Aiken tattooed on his arm. The incriminating tattoo was confirmed by the video surveillance. The man was immediately recognized given his past history with police. Police were able to track down his whereabouts and arrest him Saturday morning in the 3900 block of Quadra Street. He was held in custody and was due in court today for 1 charge of robbery.
I'm sorry, did you say his name was Ryan or Brian?
Ryan, R-Y-A-N. Last name is A-I-T-K-E-N.
Do you know his age? A 29-year-old. Is he related to that other Aiken who's?
I don't think so. No.
in the first one, I think it's Esquimalt road crash.
Yes.
You said that they did do a blood sample of that?
Yes. We did apply for a warrant to get that done.
And I think the official word was that alcohol and speed appear to be factors?
Yes.
Okay,
That's certainly where we're going with the investigation.
that's great.
Have you had any calls about the reward for the vandalism at the Jewish cemetery?
Not that I've heard, no. I talked to the staff sergeant today. He is, if, you know, as a plea, he is trying to get more play out of it, so if there is something you guys could do to help us out, that would certainly be appreciated, to get that out there again. If you need the release, I can resend that, certainly. But yeah, no calls as of yet.